Madam Deputy Speaker, as other members present have alluded to, a number of us were in Ukraine at the end of last week, and 4 days ago we were sat in a bomb shelter in Kyiv as the Ukrainian military worked to clear the sky of drones. We were in that city, a beautiful European city, one of the great cities of Europe, filled with a freedom-loving, well-educated population that is committed to liberating their country, a place no different from our own, as one of the 16-strong delegation to the Yalta European Strategy Conference. Never before in the history of that conference has that city come under bombardment while European parliamentarians were present. So great did Russia consider the risk of killing members of a NATO country. Something has changed, members, and we all know what it is. We need to wake up. For most of America's history, the country has been isolationist. After the First World War, they retreated back into isolationism. After the Second, they would have done so were it not for the Cold War. And since the end of the Cold War, were it not for the September 11th, which brought out George W. Bush back into the world, having been elected on a programme of isolationism, all three Democratic presidents since the end of the Cold War have in part retreated back away from from international affairs. This is the default status of America. We have to wake up to the realities of this. It's not about a single American president. This is about the future of Europe. It is about the fact that we can no longer rely upon an American security guarantee. And were we living in peaceful times, this would be worrying enough. But the fact is that Europe is at war. The arguments against appeasement have already been well made, and we know that if Ukraine falls, it would be a NATO country next, and in all possibility, a general nuclear war as part of Putin's quest to rebuild the Russian Empire. We must accept the reality that we are at war. A cold war, but a war nonetheless. Neutral countries do not attack UK infrastructure. Neutral countries do not test UK airspace and territorial waters. Neutral countries do not relieve nerve agents into the streets of Salisbury, or openly discuss in their papers, as they are doing now, the Americans have given them license to bomb London. These are the actions of an enemy state. Since the announcement on Tuesday, which I greatly agree with, I have received correspondence from constituents expressing concerns to the cuts to international aid. I want to be frank with people. I believe that many, many more painful decisions will follow if we are going to do what is necessary to ensure the defence of our country. Our defence against an enemy power. We must mobilise. With no American security guarantee, the only choice is a European security guarantee of which the UK must play a central role. For us, this will be a mobilisation not of men and women for the most part. If we must replace the total manpower of the US military, that number already exists within the Ukraine armed forces. 1 million in the American military, 1 million in the Ukraine military. They don't need the people. They're already on Europe's front lines, holding back the enemy. What they need from us is our combined economic and intellectual power across the continent, dedicated to our collective victory. Speaking with those in Ukraine, not only politicians, soldiers and analysts, but the everyday residents that we met along our travels, they are determined to go on fighting however long it takes, alone if they must, hand to hand if totally necessary. We cannot allow things to come to that. 3 years into the conflict, why do the Ukrainians still want the bullets and shells? Why do they struggle to access sufficient electronic countermeasures? Why are we training soldiers in batches in the UK and have not set up colleges in Ukraine to train them en masse? If Putin was standing on the French coast, will we have not resolved this in months, if not weeks? We are at war. It is a war we can and must win. And if we are to do that, we must be prepared to do whatever it takes, starting today. Slava Ukraini.